The chair recognizes to present the bill Representative Ramsey from the 72nd District. By prior agreement, will have 20 minutes to present the bill. Representative Ramsey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to present to you House Bill 87, the Illegal Immigration Reform and Enforcement Act of 2011. This is the result of months of work, of study, of committee hearings, of revisions to the bill, all aimed at addressing the social and economic consequences of our federal government's failure to live up to their fundamental obligation to secure our nation's borders. Make no mistake, that's why we're here today, folks. Our federal government has failed us. I want to give you a few statistics. Georgia ranks number 6 in the country with about 425,000 illegal aliens by the most recent estimate. The Department of Homeland Security estimates that over the last 10 years, Georgia leads the country in terms of the percentage increase of a percentage of our population of illegal aliens, about 115%. Arizona, with less illegal aliens, their population only increased about 42%. Official and very, very optimistic estimates tell us that we are only able to catch about 1 out of every 4 or 5 individuals that illegally cross our borders. A GAO study that just came out estimated that we only have about 44%, our Border Patrol only has about 44% operational control of our southern border. No doubt about it, our federal government has failed us, and our citizens in Georgia are suffering the consequences. Now, we're at a crossroads. We have 2 roads we can go down. The first road is we can just continue to stand idly by. We can continue to throw our hands up in the air and say, and just wait and wait and wait for our federal government to take serious a problem that has grown more pressing and more pressing every single year. Or we can go down the other road, and that's what the supporters of this legislation intend to do today. We can act within our scope as state legislators, within the bounds of the U.S. and state Constitution, to take aggressive action to address this problem that is affecting every segment of our state. If we want to effectively address illegal immigration, we can't wait for our federal government to act. We've got to do it ourselves. Now, what this bill doesn't do, and what we can't do as a state, is secure our nation's borders. That's within the federal government's exclusive province. We don't have the authority to deport illegal aliens that we identify. That's exclusively in the federal government's province. But what we can do within the bounds of the U.S. and the Georgia Constitution and within our existing laws is we can remove every single incentive that we possibly can that lures illegal aliens to come to Georgia. Individuals that come into our country illegally and make the decision to come here, the incentives that our taxpayers are footing the bill for, we can remove those as state policymakers, and that's exactly what House Bill 87 proposes to do. Now, before I go into the bill and walk through the bill and provide why I think you should vote for it, I want to take a minute and talk about the process that led us to this point. This is hands down the most inclusive, thorough process I've ever been involved as a state representative down here on any piece of legislation. It started last summer when Speaker Ralston and the Senate leadership, recognizing this is a pressing problem that we had to address, impaneled a special joint committee on immigration reform. I was honored to be chosen as the House chairman of that endeavor. Over the next 4 months, we had numerous public hearings. Every hearing started with a request and a solicitation to the public. If you have an interest in this issue, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, and anywhere in between, if you're a government official, state or local, if you're a member of the law enforcement community, if you're a member of the business community, if you just have an interest as a citizen, we want to hear from you. We spent hours and hours and hours hearing testimony from constituents and from citizens of Georgia. It was an incredible opportunity to hear from folks their view of this issue. We heard from law enforcement officials that told us about the burden that they're straining under to address adjudicating cases involving those that are in the country illegally. We heard from school officials that said about how the quality of the education in their school systems has been materially diminished as the population of illegal aliens coming into our state has increased. We heard from hospital officials who said we're struggling to keep up. Our emergency rooms are on the verge of breaking, and this is certainly exacerbating the problem. We heard from all manner of individuals. Some opinions we agreed with, some we didn't. But through that process, it led to the introduction of a piece of legislation at the beginning of this session. But that wasn't the end of it. Then Chairman Golick went about holding what I believe is the most thorough committee process, committee vetting of a bill that I've ever seen. Multiple public hearings. He said on every hearing, anybody that shows up at this Capitol and signs up to speak on this bill, they're going to be given an opportunity to do so. And that's exactly what happened. Finally, on the last of hours and hours of public hearing, he looked down at his sign-up sheet and there was nobody else there. Anybody that wanted to speak was given an opportunity to be heard. In the interim, over the last month, when not in committee, I have repeatedly said over and over, if you want to come in and talk about this bill, whatever the group, whatever you represent, I want to hear from you. And I can tell you a lot of folks have taken me up on that. I've had a virtual revolving door for that last month. We've made numerous revisions in working to improve the bill, in working to hear concerns from groups that are potentially affected. And I think that has resulted in what I believe is to be one of the very best products that has ever come out of the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee, because we've had so many people contribute to this effort, from the Attorney General's office to the members of the committee to every man or a group that's standing out in the hall right now, and from private citizens. We feel confident in the product that we've put forward today. So